Welcome to the Confessions of a CRA podcast. I'm your host, Jasmyn Adams. I went from a struggling, aspiring CRA to landing my first CRA job with no monitoring experience or certification, and was able to fast track my career to a senior CRA making six figures in less than 2 years, and then on to multiple six figures plus a CRA coaching business. I teach aspiring CRAs how to attract and break into their first CRA position with no monitoring experience or certification and fast track their career using mindset and career development strategies. Now, let's dive all the way in. Hey y'all, welcome back to another episode of Confessions of a CRA. I'm so excited to have you join me here today. Welcome to all you new people. Thank you for joining me again. For all of my faithful listeners, today's topic might be a little touchy for some of you. We're going to talk about some of the top job search mistakes that's stopping you from landing your first CRA job. So if I mention something and it's something that you may be struggling with, having a challenge with, don't take it personal. Just know that, okay, this is something that has been pointed out and I need to work on it, but don't take it personal. I have encountered some people who have literally taken some of the things that I've said like very personally. And it's unfortunate because at the end of the day, I want to see everybody win. My goal is to help as many people as I possibly can. And sometimes, guess what? That means I have to say things that you don't exactly want to hear all the time, right? But no, I do it with love. And so today we have a really great, juicy topic, and I can't wait to share 3 of the top job search mistakes that's stopping you guys. And that would be number 1, applying to everything that you see. I know some of you automatically know what I'm talking about. That was me, by the way. Number 2, not completely leveraging LinkedIn. Again, I got to raise my hand for that one. That was me too. And then number 3, not leveraging the job description or JD. And I'm guilty of that one as well. So as I talk about these things, like I said, don't take it personally. You're not alone. I myself have done every last one of them. I myself have made all 3 of these mistakes, and that's why I'm here to share with you guys, to help you avoid, to keep you from making some of the same mistakes that I made, and hopefully fast tracking your CRA job search or your CRA job journey. So before we jump into these 3 mistakes, I want to talk about a client that I'm currently working with, and I won't name any names, but when she came to me, she had actually applied to a lot of different industry roles. And when I say a lot of different roles, meaning she had applied to some project management roles, some clinical trial management roles, some regulatory roles, some drug safety roles. There was a data entry role, and essentially a lot of different clinical research roles across the board, across departments, across different types of companies at the site, at the CRO sponsor level. So all these different types of roles. And, I asked her, well, do you really want to become a CRA? Is that truly your goal? And she said, yes, that's really what she wanted to do. But then, of course, my next question was, so why are you applying to all of these different types of jobs? So many different types, departments, areas of clinical research, right? And her response was, she thought that was actually helping her with her goal. The more she applied to, right? Of course, that means the more opportunities, the more hits, the more chances. And this is one of those things where less is truly more. And I had to learn this the hard way. So the first mistake we're going to hop into is applying to everything that you see. And I call this just throwing darts and then kind of hoping just to hit the board in any kind of way. You don't necessarily have to hit the bullseye, but as long as you get on the board, hey, it's a win, right? That's the approach a lot of us have taken. Like I said, myself included, a lot of people are still taking this approach. And if you're doing this, stop doing this today. Stop doing this right now. This is not only not helping you reach your goal, but in all honesty, it can potentially hurt you depending on the types of roles that you're applying to and how many roles and the companies and, etc. So, number one, this is not a plan. Applying to everything that you see is not a plan. It's a setup for failure, like I said. And you might potentially end up with a job that you don't want, a dead-end job, a job that doesn't align with your ultimate goal of becoming a CRA. You could potentially be wasting time. There's so many different reasons why this is a setup for failure. So you have to stop doing this. This is not a concrete plan, and you need a plan. So if your goal is truly to become a CRA, then everything that you do should be in line with that goal. So the first step is to stop, look at your goals, look at your vision, look at everything that you have been doing, what you need to be doing, and create a true plan, a proven plan that is going to actually help you get to your goal and take out the fluff, take off all the wasted time, all the things that people say you need to do, but you really don't need to be doing, and just focus on truly, okay, how do I get from A to B? This is my goal. How do I get from where I am now to get to my goal? So that's one thing. Throwing darts is not going to help you reach that goal. And then if you're finding that you're having to apply to 50 plus jobs a week, and it's week after week, you're applying to 50 jobs. And this was me at one point at my like most craziest time. I think I applied to like over 200 jobs in a week. And, I would apply to 50, 100 jobs like week after week. And at one point I was literally still getting nowhere, believe it or not, in terms of clinical research jobs, the jobs that I wanted anyway. I still wasn't getting any interviews, any callbacks, anything like that. So I'm like, there has to be something wrong with this picture, right? I had a bachelor's degree, I had a master's degree, and from top universities at that, and I was literally getting nowhere. So, if this is you, if you are where I was and what I was doing, and you're applying to all these jobs and you're getting nowhere, then this is a for sure sign that you are definitely doing things the wrong way, and you definitely need to stop today, take a pause, regroup, assess your situation, and then get back in the job search game. But having to apply all these different jobs, this is something that I literally have spent hours and hours on working with my clients, really originally starting with myself and figuring out how to make it work for me, and then taking that blueprint and applying it for my clients, and really taking the time, the energy, the effort to sit down and think about how to create a true job attraction system so that we don't have to spend all these hours and hours applying to all these jobs only to get nowhere. So this is something that I really take a lot of pride and focus in my coaching program, and that is getting rid of having to apply to all these jobs. So if that's you, you're doing it the wrong way. You're doing it the slow way, the hard way, really the most ineffective way. So stop doing that. Stop applying to, 50 plus jobs a week, and then applying to multiple different titles at one company or even multiple companies. Now, research is a big industry, right? But I like to say it's a big but small world, because even though you think, oh my God, there's so many companies, there's so many positions, there's so many departments, there's so many, right? It's still kind of a small world in that you never know who you might run into again at another company, someone that you worked with previously, or someone that may know your previous boss, or, et cetera, right? So just because you apply to this CRA position at company X doesn't mean that maybe the recruiter there didn't transition over to company Z, and now she's seeing that you applied to this completely different role, right? And it's like, I'm pretty sure I saw this candidate, the same exact candidate applying for the CRA job. And then now you're applying for like trial management. And then not only that, but you also apply to a CTA job and then also some regulatory jobs. And it's like, well, what's going on here? Does this person really want to be a CRA? Or are they trying to jump straight to trial manager? Do they want to be a CTA, like a regulatory special? Like, what is going on here? So it's really confusing to companies, to recruiters, to hiring managers when you are applying to multiple different titles on multiple different levels in multiple different departments. It makes it appear like you are unknowledgeable or uninformed, lost, perhaps even a little bit indecisive in what exactly you're looking for, where you're going with your career, what it is that you want. And it's confusing. It's confusing. And it comes off as confusing because a lot of times, I mean, let's face it, we're confused. We're doing this because we're confused. We don't know how to reach our goal. Yeah, we know we want to be a CRA, but we're like, well, I've been trying this and that and it hasn't been working. So now it's just kind of like throwing darts, right? You're doing everything that you possibly can to just get in. So it comes off as confusing because, quite frankly, we are confused. So you don't want to do that. You have to stick to the CRA role or things that are in line with the CRA role. I talk about the 3 main paths to the CRA role. And there are other routes outside of the study coordinator, the CTA, the in-house CRA. There are other roles that lead to the CRA role. However, whichever positions that you're taking, if your ultimate goal is to become a CRA, then just make sure that everything is in line. Now, of course, a lot of you have already taken positions. You're already at a place in your career where, you already held these different positions, and that's fine. It's not to say that you need to backtrack and it's like, oh my God, I'm a regulatory specialist. Well, what can I do? Do I need to go back and be a study coordinator? No, you don't. Oh my God, I'm a data entry coordinator. Do I need to go back and be a CTA? No, you don't. Not necessarily. Like I said, these are the 3 primary roles, but if you already have industry experience in other positions, then you are in a great position. If you have at least a bachelor's level degree and you already have some type of experience, then you're in a great position to land that CRA job. But you still have to have a plan. You still have to have a strategy, and throwing darts, applying to everything that you see is not it. So you have to stop applying to all these multiple different roles, especially roles that are at a higher level, because it's like, okay, so now they want to just go from, I don't know, maybe you're a project assistant or something. You just want to jump all the way to director. Some people have come to me and they haven't been in the industry at all. And I've had a couple people seeking out higher level roles, like director level roles, medical monitor type of roles. And it's just that you don't know what you don't know, right? So it just comes off as very confusing, as indecisive, unknowledgeable. And that's the last thing you want a company to think when considering you as a candidate. And then, like I said, going back to the fact that it's not a plan, and it's okay. It's definitely okay to switch roles. So I don't want you guys to think, oh, well, if I'm a study coordinator or a CTA, I can't switch roles. I need to stay in this role because Jasmyn says that you don't want to be jumping around to different titles. That's not what I'm saying, because I myself, if you know a little bit about me, and for those of you that don't, I was a study coordinator for a little bit. I was a CTA. I was an in-house CRA. I was a drug safety specialist for a little bit. All these things before I got my first CRA job. So that's not what I'm saying. But if you take a look at my career, it was always aligned so that I was taking roles to help me acquire more skills that would prepare me to become a CRA, roles that were preparing me to take on the CRA responsibilities. So that's what I mean when I say that, okay, it's fine to take on multiple roles. It's fine to apply to other roles if that's what you need to do, but it still has to make sense. It still has to be transitions that are in line with the ultimate goal and shows a clear career progression towards that goal of becoming a CRA. So for example, if you're already a study coordinator, there's no need in taking on another study coordinator role And the same, like if you've already been a CTA, there's no need in jumping from another company just to take on that same job, those same responsibilities, unless there's a strategic explanation. Like maybe you were getting promoted to a lead study coordinator or lead CTA, or maybe you were going to get an opportunity to work on a specific therapeutic area, like maybe perhaps gain some oncology experience or some neurology experience, or maybe they're working on a unique therapeutic treatment and you wanted to get in and gain some experience on that. And then it always could just simply boil down to, the salary, the bonus, the package was just too good to say no, right? So if there's like a clear, logical, strategic, in your best interest type of explanation, then of course, by all means. But if it's going to be a literally a lateral movement in terms of responsibilities, in terms of salary, in terms of title, in terms of everything, that is absolutely not the way to go. So you don't want to come off as a job seeker who just doesn't have a clue about what they want or where they want to go. Nobody wants to hire that person, right? If you had a business, would you want to hire someone that isn't confident or clear or well informed about the industry and ready to get started and ready to go and has a purpose and a plan, or at least some idea of where they want to take their career and how they want to contribute to your team or your company? No, you wouldn't want to hire someone like that. So with that being said, think about it this way. Be the candidate that you would want to hire for your own company. So companies do not like this. It makes you look bad. And if you're already coming into the applicant pool looking bad, of course, they don't want to hire somebody that they feel like will also make them look bad. So you need to create a plan, like I said. And throwing darts, applying to everything you see is not a plan. And then most importantly, you need to stick to the process of that plan. Don't panic and abandon the plan and applying to everything that you see, all because you've been following your plan for a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks. And it's like, oh my God, nothing's happening. I see that so often, especially in 2022, right? Everybody wants everything to happen so quickly, especially in the States. We are used to everything happening like overnight, right? For me, I don't know about you guys, but if I'm on my computer and I click a button and something doesn't happen, the screen doesn't change, it doesn't go to the next page, like in that second, I'm like, oh my God, something's wrong with my computer. So I'm included in that crowd of wanting things now, right? Patience is low. But trust me, when it comes to this process, you have to be patient and you have to give your plan a chance to work. So like I said, you cannot panic and abandon it and just start applying to everything and then doubting your plan, doubting your goal, doubting yourself. Don't be that person either. Stick to the plan, stay focused, keep going. And sometimes you might have to take a pause. Sometimes you might need to adjust, especially if you're doing it on your own. That's why having a coach, having someone that's been where you're trying to go as a mentor, as a coach, taking a program or working with someone that has been to where you're going, that's why these types of investments are really the best way to go, just because it cuts out all the guesswork, it cuts out all of the trial and error, and it cuts out all the wasted time on the mistakes. So that's mistake number one. Now let's go on to mistake number two, not leveraging LinkedIn. So I have another client who I'm currently working with. And when she came to me, she literally had just created the LinkedIn account just so she could DM me. So she had a picture, her name, I want to say maybe her current job title, and that was literally it on her profile. So this was like created maybe the day before, the day of that she reached out to me. And as a part of my application, the form that I have everyone fill out when trying to work with me and setting up a call to talk with me, I asked the question of, please provide the link to your LinkedIn profile. And I want to say at that time, she didn't have it yet. I want to say she didn't create it until after. Now I'm thinking about she didn't create it until after I asked for it. But during the call, it's like, well, do you have a LinkedIn profile? And she's like, well, I just created one. And I'm like, I looked at him like, did you just create this? Because it just gave off the vibes of like literally she had just created it. She was like, yeah. And I asked, a couple more questions. Well, have you known about LinkedIn? Why haven't you been on it and all those things? And she's just like, well, I've never really thought about being on LinkedIn or using that platform. I have a couple of the other social platforms, but I'm not on LinkedIn. And now that I'm trying to transition into a different industry, I didn't feel like I needed to be on there until I did, because then it would be confusing if I'm putting all of this business stuff on my LinkedIn profile that I'm trying to get into the, clinical research space. And that couldn't be any further from the truth. Because regardless of where you currently stand in your CRA job search journey, even if you haven't graduated from college yet, if you are just coming out of high school, if you don't have any work experience and you're just volunteering, if you're coming from being a school teacher, a police officer, a history teacher, a dancer, whatever your background is, it doesn't matter, guys. You still need to create that LinkedIn profile. You still need to put yourself out there. And there's ways that you can leverage the platform and still show up as a great candidate. So don't let that stop you. But obviously, for the people that already have that clinical research experience, that already have the background that they're looking for, you guys have the degree. You've been in one of these roles that I keep talking about as a regulatory specialist or data entry coordinator or study startup specialist, what have you. You've had these roles. You absolutely should be on LinkedIn. You should have an account. It should be an active account. And not only that, you should be leveraging the platform. Don't just have an account. It needs to be more than, just an account. When I first started my LinkedIn account, it was because one of my mentors in graduate school actually told me to start it, because she said it was like the thing to get jobs now. It's like the social media platform for professionals, and I needed to have one. And I was like, oh God, because at that time I didn't have any social media, like literally Instagram, Facebook. I don't do any of those things. So I was like, oh my gosh. And I'm kind of what some people might call anyways, a little bit antisocial or introverted personality. So it was challenging for me at first. This podcast is sponsored by the CRA Solution. Are you an aspiring CRA struggling to get your foot in the door and land your first CRA position, almost ready to give up on your dream? Well, I have the perfect solution for your problem. The CRA Solution Mentorship, a 12-week online course and coaching program where you learn how to attract and break into your first CRA position with no monitoring experience or certification. After you go through this program, you'll no longer spend hours searching and applying to jobs, because you'll have a proven job attraction system that consistently brings job opportunities directly to you via networking and LinkedIn. You'll also have a clear, thorough understanding of how to successfully brand and market yourself throughout your CRA job search, to strategically sell yourself and land your CRA dream job offer without feeling lost or confused, wondering if you're on the right path. If you're ready to land your first CRA job, visit aspiringcra.com and book a one-on-one sales call today. So don't think you're alone when you're like, oh God, now I got to set up my LinkedIn profile. How is this going to work? And then I actually have to leverage it like, oh God, Jasmyn, not only do you want me to create an account, now I have to actually start using the platform. Now I got to be on there every day, every week. Guys, it doesn't have to consume your life, and it doesn't have to be this terrible, horrible, like monster that you now have to face, or just this other social media platform that you now have to look out for, that you now have to get all these alerts from. Don't think of it that way, right? I have a lot of people that come to me, including the client that I just told you guys about. They come to me and they're like, oh, I don't want people to know my business. I'm a private person, especially my professional career, right? I don't want people in my business. And people are like one way on LinkedIn and they're like another way on Instagram or Facebook. And that's where the branding issues come in at, because your brand should be representative of who you truly are. And you shouldn't be afraid to showcase that brand and show up as you are, regardless of the platform. And that's another thing that a lot of coaches, a lot of programs, they are not focused on. And that's one of the things, another things that I take pride in is helping people show up as their authentic self and making sure that their brand is truly representative of them, so we don't run into these issues and you can be who you are anywhere. I have people that come to me and they're like, I don't want everyone to see my profile. I don't do social media. I'm old school. It's too much work. I'm so confused. I'm too old for this. It's just too hard. I already have experience. Why do I need to set up my profile? I already have this degree. Why do I need LinkedIn? I'm too shy. I'm too scared to reach out to people. What will people think about me? What if my family members or my friends see it? Why can't we just go back to old days and just send in applications? That's my favorite one. I used to think like that too, believe it or not. All these statements that I just read, all these little comments that I get, that was literally me, y'all. That was me. So anybody that's thinking this, guess what? We're on the same page. So you're not alone. But if I can overcome it, you can overcome it too. So you have to start reshaping the way that you think about LinkedIn and just think of it as, this is something that is truly going to be an asset, a tool for my career versus this monster, this beast that you have to conquer, right? So LinkedIn is actually great because it's the easiest way that you can take control of your brand and market yourself and expand your network. And a lot of people miss this because they just think like, oh my God, another social media platform, but it's just for these stuffy business people. But no, guys, especially nowadays, y'all, LinkedIn is so much more than that. And I hear a lot of people, and even people have come to me, people make comments on my page, they DM me all the time with this one. It's not what you know, but who you know. That's why I didn't get the job, because I don't know nobody, and it's not what you know, but who you know. Well, guess what? Because of LinkedIn, because of today's technology, because of social media and all the other platforms. But, LinkedIn is my thing. That's what I focus on in my coaching program. That's what I, always support and talk about. But because of LinkedIn, the statement is not what you know, but who you know now truly applies to everyone, because you can get on LinkedIn, you can start making connections, you can start networking with people that you would otherwise never have access to or never encounter or never talk to or never be able to connect with, right? So now you can truly take control of your life and you can literally craft the people that you want to know. You can create a circle, a network of people that you want to know to help leverage your career and create the own narrative to your own story. So you don't have to just kind of sit back and take the cards that you're dealt with anymore. So when people say it's not what you know, but who you know, I always like to say, well, what have you done or how much time have you taken to get to know people, especially specifically through LinkedIn? And I haven't met anybody to this day that has truly leveraged networking and has truly created a networking plan and a networking strategy that they implement on a consistent basis. And it makes a difference, because I was one of those people. And once I started doing the things that I'm telling you guys to do, night and day difference, night and day. And I've made so many great connections, so many new colleagues and friends. They become my friends. And so you truly have to reshape the way you think about LinkedIn. You have to retrain your brain and stop thinking about it as this negative, other thing on your to-do list. I have a podcast episode coming out where I'm going to talk about how you can audit yourself and audit your LinkedIn profile and see if you are truly leveraging LinkedIn and taking advantage of all it offers. So I won't go into too many details on how to successfully leverage the platform today, but just to kind of give you an idea, ask yourself, is your profile complete? How many connections do you have? Are you using job alerts? Are you using quick apply? How many connections are you sending out? Are you DMing people? Are you sending out messages? How many groups have you joined? Are you engaging in these groups? Are you connecting with people inside of the groups? And the same for events. How many events have you joined or participated in? Have you connected with other people in the events? And are you posting? Are you letting people know a little bit about your story and where you stand in your journey? And are you doing the same with other people's posts and engaging in their posts and commenting on their posts as well? So that's just a few things that of different ways that you can leverage the platform. And like I said, that's not what today's topic is. So I won't go into too many details, but stay on the lookout for a podcast coming up really soon so that you can get more and learn more about how to actually leverage the platform. So the third mistake and the last mistake we're going to talk about here today is not leveraging job descriptions. And guys, this was one of the biggest mistakes that I used to make when I first started out on my journey. The job description for me was more so like, well, a few different things. Number one, it was annoying because it was always like, oh my God, who has all these skills and responsibilities? Because at the end, they'll say the qualifications was like just a bachelor's and no experience, right? But then obviously they weren't picking me. So it's like, okay, yeah, right. So it became this annoying little thing that was kind of getting in my way. And then number two, it was a whole bunch of responsibilities that they said that you would be doing for the job. So really the job description for me was more so like, do I want to do this job or not? And it was just kind of like, does this work for me? Is this for me? I kind of browse over the beginning. Sometimes they might have a little bit about the company. I didn't really pay much attention to that. And it was honestly the job description. When I went over it, y'all, it was just about me. And what is this going to do for Jasmyn? And how does this apply to Jasmyn and Jasmyn, right? That's what the job description was for me. How is this going to help me? How does this apply to me? And wow. When I look back, when I know what I know now, when I think about my approach, it was like, oh, wow, you had it all wrong, girl. You had it all wrong. And so really, for all of you who might still be, maybe some people are still thinking like me and, you still think it's all about you. No, it is all about the company and it's all about what they're looking for and what they need. And your goal is to show them how you best meet that need, how you are best in line with that need. Even if you don't meet it 100%, but just showing the transferable skills and experience that you have that are in line with that need. So it's really, the job description is, in all honesty, it's a cheat sheet. It's truly a cheat sheet for you to have success. And it ultimately, it tells you the ideal candidate that the company is looking for. And then oftentimes a little bit about the company, like I said, and what they feel is their strongest asset or attribute. And during the interview, you always need to be able to talk a little bit about the company, what they do, why you want to work for them, why you think you're a great fit for the company and the team. And so you really need to be paying close attention to that part. And I literally just completely browsed through and overlooked it. And you don't have to have everything or meet every responsibility that's listed on that JD 100%. Because many times there have been candidates who have matched everything 100% and they still didn't get the job, right? And then vice versa, like me there, when I got my first CRA job, I didn't match the responsibilities 100% at all, but I did get the job. And why? Why is this, right? A lot of people say, well, that doesn't make any sense. And bottom line, it boils down to who knows how to sell themselves and who does not, or who sells themselves the best ultimately, or maybe even who has better soft skills. Some people have no soft skills at all and they have everything technical down, but the soft skills are dead. So sometimes it just boils down to those things. And a lot of people don't realize that. And that's why I say it's not just all about experience and education. And that's where we all get caught up. And that's what I'm here for. So the JD not only includes responsibilities, but it also includes qualifications and requirements, right? So you want to focus on the requirements. And even if you only meet about 75%, but your experience makes up for the other, let's say 25%, you may still have a good shot, especially if you've reached the interview phase, because it's a combination of your education, your experience, and training or skills. So one could potentially make up for the other. So keep it in mind as you're reading the JD, it's not just as black and white as in, oh, I need to meet everything on this list, because that's not the goal either. They put down their ideal dream candidate, and your job is to show them how closely aligned you are with that candidate and how you meet their needs to fill this particular role. So it's okay to use the JD language verbatim in your resume, in your cover letter, on your LinkedIn profile, during the interview. But don't use fluffy statements. Make sure they're all still quantifiable statements that showcase your achievements and accomplishments, right? So, for example, a lot of times you'll see on the JD something about they want somebody with effective oral and written communication. We'll see that a lot, right? So, one thing that you can say is that you delivered PowerPoint presentations to train 30 employees on a monthly basis, for example, or that you led weekly team meetings on a monthly basis. Those two things show that you have that good oral, that effective oral and written communication, or that you created or you wrote reports or wrote documents, or that you created plans or you created department procedures. These types of things help show that written communication. And then, for example, a lot of times we'll also see JDs say they want someone with excellent organization and time management skills. So instead of just saying that verbatim or just literally copying it with a bunch of fluff, you could also say effectively managed multiple projects or 5 projects simultaneously with competing priorities. So you had to implement great organization and time management skills. But instead of just saying that by itself, incorporating what you actually did to showcase that organization and time management. So that's to give you a couple of examples. And another thing that you can also take advantage of is using JobScan to see. It's a system, it's a platform that you can use. It's not free. I think they might give you one free search. I think, maybe not. Don't quote me on that. But you can use it to see how many keywords that you have in comparison to the job description. So you can copy and paste your resume. You can copy and paste the job description for the job that you're looking at, and then it will throw you back a percentage of keywords that are matched or paired. So that's another good way for you to take a look and see, okay, how well have I truly leveraged the job description? But essentially, you want to use the job description as your cheat sheet, like I said. And I also have a podcast coming out where I talk about how to leverage the job description. So, I won't go into too many details on how to actually leverage the JD today. We'll talk about that in another episode, but just to kind of give you an idea of where you stand and if you're truly leveraging it or not, you should be using the JD to tailor your resume. You should be using it to prep for interviews. You should be using it to research the company and their expectations for the role, like I said earlier. You should be using it as a guide to research some of the skills, the experience, the knowledge, the education, all of those things that they're looking for. You should be using it to see where you stand, where you may have some gaps, and then starting to come up with ways to fill those gaps, whether it's on your resume so that it won't become a red flag and you can pass that phase and get the actual interview offer. And then also during the interview, coming up with responses to potential gaps or holes that they may see based upon the job description. If they list something as a requirement and you don't exactly have that specific requirement, but you have something else that's easily transferable and it still definitely makes you a qualified, experienced candidate, then be ready and have an answer prepared during the interview. So that's just to kind of give you an idea of where you may or may not stand in terms of leveraging the job description. So all of these things, all of these mistakes that we covered here today are literally areas that I focus on in my coaching program. These are all things that are super important and that I take very seriously and that I work really hard with making sure that my clients have a plan. That's the first thing that we work on, is creating a unique, specific strategy for each person, making sure that they have an amazing, awesome, LinkedIn profile that is a job attraction system so that they don't have to apply to everything that they see and people are reaching out to them, and making sure that they truly know how to take the job description and break it down to their advantage for every phase of the job search process, whether that's their resume, whether it's prepping for interviews, whether it's researching the company, whatever the case may be. All of these mistakes are things that are weaved into my coaching program so that my clients can avoid making these mistakes. And that's why I wanted to talk about it here with you guys today, to help you guys see some of the mistakes that I myself have made, like I told you, and the mistakes that I see in my clients so that you guys too can avoid making these mistakes. So if you want to learn more about my coaching program and how it could potentially work for you and how I can help you avoid making these mistakes, then definitely reach out to me. You can DM me on LinkedIn. You can shoot me an email at hello@thecrasolution.com, and I would be more than happy to set up a call with you so we can talk about how we can get you on the right track and help you stop making these job search mistakes and help you land your first CRA job. So that wraps up today's episode. You know I like to hear from y'all, so please DM me, like I said, on LinkedIn if you have any questions about today's episodes, or if you have any topics that you want me to cover. As you know, these solo episodes are just for you guys, so please keep sending in your questions and let me know what you want to hear. And just to give you a little preview for next week's solo episode, we're going to be talking about the biggest problem most people have, the number one thing that's causing people to fail in their CRA job search. So make sure you subscribe and follow this podcast so you can be notified when it drops, because this is one of those episodes that you certainly don't want to miss out on. Thanks for joining me today, and I can't wait to share what I have for you next week. Thanks for hanging out with me. You are now one step closer to hitting your career goals. And if you are an aspiring CRA who wants to take this work further, come work with me inside of my coaching program. You can go visit aspiringcra.com to learn all about it. If you're looking for more inspiration, check out Jasmyn Adams' Aspiring CRA TV on YouTube. And come follow me at Jasmyn Adams or the CRA Solution on LinkedIn. You can also check me out over on Instagram at the CRA Solution. And hey, if you like what you hear, don't forget to follow this podcast and make sure that you download, rate, and review this episode.